Good afternoon, stormy Tuesday. Welcome everyone to another Traders Community podcast. Got the glorious Madavi here. How are you, sir?
Good.
And we got Meta Johnny somewhere hiding in the wings. We'll see if he turns up. So, once again, welcome. Remember, this is not financial advice. We are just going through what we saw today as traders, what the market's looking at, and some ways forward and back. So I think that sums it up. So today, more of the same. We kind of grind it up again. We're above those daily and weekly levels we talked about last week and this week. Some really good stock trading opportunities today. Futures were very choppy, a little bit different. Oil came off those highs of yesterday, also choppy. The big moves were in commodities, were in natural gas that we look at. So some good trades there. So we're going to go through all that and talk about what we did today. So let's get into that. So just where we are right now, oil is trading at 108.72 WTI. Remember what we have had expiration there. So then on SPX, cash was sitting over that 4,500, which all day it kept looking like it was going to break down. And it held up, and that's what made it kind of difficult to trade from a purely trading point of view. The Russell continued on its merry way up, almost to 2,100. Closed, I believe it did trade there, almost at the high there. And we're at 2086 right now. And the big one, of course, I just mentioned was Natgas, got up to 520 on the Henry Hub, 514.50. And sorry, it's just one last trade going through. And Nasdaq, 14,650. And Vol, as you expect, came off all day, 24.87. Bond markets were weak again today. And a strange dynamic is now, if you think back a week ago, it was the end of the world. Rates going up and all that. Now, as the spin happens, this is good. The Fed's on the front foot, means the economy's strong. So remember, and so the same people selling last Monday, Tuesday are now buying. So, so you've got that dynamic, and that's perfect, mate. So let's get into that. So we're going to spend a bit more time going through some stocks today because it was choppy on futures, and when it's like that, I tend to stand aside. Because remember, we're at major levels, so we traded a little bit more circumspect. Okay, so let's do SPOOs first, and then we'll do Nasdaq. So on the weekly, as I said, we're big. We go top down. So we broke that level. Remember last week we had, very fortunate, we had those good longs. The good calls, those cheap calls, in hindsight, we got out too early, but I'm not too unhappy. You can see what we did. We broke, tested the 50, and now we're over caging. If it closes like this at the end of the week, then remember your two alternatives. This is something much major going up, or this was a top A, B, C correcting down. So be open-minded. We look at daily. You can see it even more clearly. Look where we closed, right at the top of the cloud. That's kind of your last daily resistance. As far as that goes, Murray Math obviously got all that above if it keeps going. Hourly SPOOs, we are still short of 8.8, and you can see today's price action is actually rebalanced if you look at your your Chico. Okay, let's bring Madavi on. And so trading wise, basically, actually, let me go specifically show you what the John Dory, what the story was there. That was a bit of Australian word of the day for you. So all day it chopped around, and it was 8H plus 2H. So, and it recalced at the end of the day. So I'd get short off that with a tight, and it kept chopping around. So basically, you'd make 5 handles, lose 2 handles. Remember, that's not the sort of trading I like. I like 1 or 2. You've got to swing in. But when a market's trying to work out where it wants to go, you keep it tight. So even here's a better example in the 1 minute. So there was one good short at the end of the day that we're able to basically do. So let's look at Nasdaq and go through that with Madavi. So very much the same. I'll show you the weekly real quickly. Identical almost, right, to the S&P. And why is that? In a word, Apple. In a second word, Tesla. That's all you need to know, really, right? Okay, so here's the hourly. And there you go, Madavi, mate. See that okay?
Yeah, I mean, the morning was okay. I made some trades, not too much on the Nasdaq, but then in the afternoon, it got terrible. And basically,
that's all.
Instead of getting stuck with 1,000 cuts and keep losing like Mate was, so I decided to stay with it. And at the end, the market looked like it was going up. I covered out the shorts, and my Tesla short didn't work out either too well, and just bumped out of it, and basically wrecked my foods trading for the day, and just terrible for the foods. The stocks were a lot better, but as far as the trading was, it's been pretty bad the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So if you look at today, that was real easy up until, as far as the length goes. Then we ran into daily and weekly resistance. So the general rule, that's going to 85% of the time, that's a great short. So you're reluctant of trading from the long side on markets like that till it's confirmed. That's a good risk management way to do it. So trading for the short side, you'd get up 5, you'd make 2, lose 1. So you want to keep it taut, given you're actually building a pennant. So what I did after about halfway, 2 or 3 of those, then just fully concentrated on stocks. Oil, there wasn't much to be traded there today. Sometimes it's good to stay away. As far as commodities goes, the breakup was on natural gas, who we've been talking about. So it was a real easy trade. So we spent most of our day, and it was really, really, if you recall a week or so, was it 2 weeks ago? There was all those low photos on oil. We were able to, oil stocks, maybe 3 weeks ago. You had a lot of the same feel. We were able to make some good, really nice trades on a lot of these Chinese stocks because of what's going on there. And, well, that's Nike from the other day. So let's think, what was one that we... so I'm going to show you, if I can think of what they... So there was a few news plays early in the morning. And the first one, I'm trying to think, was it RPRO? RPRO? Let's see. We try to keep this as real as we can. Trying to remember a stock name. So, no, so that's not it. What was that, the drone one?
The drone one was, let's see, it's right here. It's right here. Let me look at.
Well, of course, we all know MULN. Sorry?
Is DPRO.
Oh, EPRO. Is that it?
No,
yeah. So the reason I want to show you this is a couple of things. This is good stuff from a trading perspective. So this stock here, so basically, as you know, we look at where we trade multiple markets and opportunities. So this stock comes across the desk pre-market. The story was pretty classic. Okay, they're going to buy this. This was a drone company, small cap. Small cap's been running. So what happens is the punters start to come in, right? Traders and punters. Stocks are these type of things, opportunities. So this company did a deal where they sold correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was like 400 drones to the Ukraine war effort. I'm not sure if it's to Ukraine so it's been a long day. Anyway, we knew that was going to pump. So we look at the grid. So $3, we watched the price action. This is where we got in. When the market opened, it ran up. We got out of nearly all the position here, plus 3/8. A little bit early, you sell it as you go up. So plus 2/8 or 350. There's still a bid. We get out of it, we kept half. Then what I noticed through the day, it kept getting sold off. There was like a foot on the neck, we call it, where someone's just constantly selling. So that's one of two things, and especially a stock like this. Think about it logically. These guys need the money. Two reasons. One, it's been beaten down. All of a sudden they got a windfall, right, Madavi? 160 to 370. So they need cash. Two, to fulfill their order and to keep going, right? So going concern. But when you notice it's constantly, that's either two things. A big holder either selling out of it, maybe a hedge fund, maybe one of the owners, who knows, or a secondary is coming up, right? And so we saw that breakdown eventually through the end of the day, you can see. And from what I understand, so we expected this anyway, and it's building a pennant. And so that we were on the watch for it. We weren't short it or anything like that. But there was an erroneous report, apparently, that they had already done a secondary. The market sold off all day. And that's basically all the speculative length, punters. Dribblers probably got into this at some stage too, I'd say, right? So nice sell-off. So moving forward, we're watching this to see if there is a secondary confirmed, because then, if you remember MULN, and if it's enough volume, this will then become a good secondary play, i.e. not just a secondary, but it'll be a good play again from the story and all that sort of thing. So keep an eye on that one. But I wanted to explain to you why, and why you don't just blindly average and you understand what's going on and you watch it. We're in too many positions to be individually shorting stuff against a trend, so we never did the short there. Another really good play today was Bed Bath & Beyond, which we watched for multiple reasons. One, it's a retailer, so you get the sentiment. It's a real stock, as we like to say. And it's one that's often subject to short squeeze. So that came across the desk, alerted as a new high. And it's one we knew. So originally, where did we first get into this? So we first got into this here. See how it broke that high? Yep, that's the right. Yeah, what time frame is this? Right, okay. So yeah, so we bought it here originally because it broke this high of the day and there was a test of the breakdown level. Then it pulled back pretty hard and it pulled back right to this congestion area, which was the breakout on the occasion, Tankin, 5/8 confluence, measured move, CF08. And then it exploded here. And actually, I exited here, right? And Madavi, you held it right through that second wave. But again, we know this is a fast stock. We know the levels. This trades very well technically. Really good order flow and good optionality. What was noticeable, it didn't have any options being bought like it did some of these other squeezes. So anyway, that's a nice play. You can see you go with the momentum. You look at your confluence. You already know on your list, this is on your list of short squeeze and stuff like that. And so I got out. I tend to get out in power. Sometimes, like you saw that one we just showed you. But there's some really good trading right now. And at the end of the day, put your ego aside. Who gives a shit? Excuse the French. If you pick the bottom, you pick the top. That's why I always say with the dribbler, trade this stuff. And that's why we're able to do really well last week and this week. And then we look at the overall picture to shape our options. Now, remember, we did buy puts, out of the money puts on Apple and SPOOs in case it all broke down. Friday, and so they're obviously going to go away to worthless. And you can do a spread on those. I tend to not favour that because that's part of your structure in that situation, because they're already way out of the money and cheap and not much capital exposure. And again, remember your long futures and all that. So keep everything as part of a big book. And don't get caught up with the semantics. These things move very fast and very sharp. Depends what book you're running, but basically if you're kind of a macro micro book like we do on different markets, that's what you want, and you'll get full advantage. So there was a bunch of those stocks today. What was that? There was another little, there's a few little of those Chinese stocks. Why are we looking at them? Well, firstly, we know last Tuesday the game changed. It became a Chinese put. They were going to add liquidity. They made that statement. They also made a statement they're going to talk with the US about the delisting situation. And what happened today, Madavi, to really get us excited about Chinese stocks?
Well, you had Boeing, you had buying back $25 billion of stock, and then you had Tencent report with good earnings, and I guess also listing in Hong Kong. And then what else you had? And then you had some other stuff going on too.
Yeah,
besides the Boeing crash.
Right, and that came right on the back of all that last week, and you could see. So we watch stuff like the Yang ETF. You can see without looking at all of them individually what's going on, right? So, and you can see if you go back 2 weeks ago or a week ago, we were short a lot of this, and we took profit on IQ because $2 is no more risk, and then we bought calls against our JD short, right? You just never know. We didn't know that 2 days later that they were going to do all that stuff. But imagine if you didn't protect yourself, right? Not only, I mean, we were very heavily in the profit, but so you got to keep managing your position and looking at that, and that opportunity is constantly there, right? And people go on about, so here's the old adage, people about investing. You get it right on the big run, you can look like a champion, but your investment could be, most of these moves happen 20-30% in one day, 1 hour. So always trade what's in front of you, right? Anything to add to that, mate?
No. I mean, it's just they're hot. That's what's driving up the market currently right now. So these Chinese people are, in one sense they want to bomb them, and the next they want to buy their stock.
You're not bloody wrong, really. And so that gives you an idea of the market. There is no soul in this market, in these extended bull markets. So don't think like that. Think, and it's just like, I mean, really, they switch from super bearish end of the world within 2 or 3 days. Oh, we're going to all-time new highs. That's why we have the different counts, because it's all about herd mentality. And 85% of people, if that, can think for themselves at this point. They're trading on fear, emotion, greed. All these things are very prevalent in these kinds of markets, right? So keep your wits about yourself. There's a reason why I'm minimally on Twitter. We've had bad experience with people we thought we could rely on anyway in different spaces outside our little world of hardcore traders, I guess. But a lot of that stuff, if you let it get into your head, it'll clear what you're trying to do, right? Now, one interesting comment, I saw it after the market while we were trading, really after earnings. There was only Adobe, and we did have a bit of fun in one small stock. What was that? Creates or something? But as a general...
too much fun, I understand.
Yeah. We won't go into that too much. But yeah, there's certain stocks, and I guess you get to know the feeling of the ilk that's trading it, you're trading against. That's why we break it down between investor, trader, punter, and dribbler. There's a certain criteria for each of that, and you want to get the pattern of that stock and what it is. And then there's times you buy them, and there's times you don't, and sell them. And I think those that have been following us for a while now, I guess 20 hardcore listeners are doing very well. And hopefully we're You're getting what we mean by that. So after the market, I did see Mester, I think she's Cleveland, but she made a comment that she doesn't see a problem front-loading the rates. So they're very aware that they need to get their armory battened up for if this market really collapses, the worst-case scenario. So they need to do that. They're well aware that the market's bounced 400 or 500 points. Spurs and thousands of points on Nasdaq. So they are going to pop out that sort of stuff, right? And what else? Was there something else after the market? So the only other thing, the API number was out, obviously. On oil, it was a big, decent-sized draw. But remember, API is kind of irrelevant versus EIA. So that's kind of the news that goes out. Bond market was very weak again. We try to put that all together in our market wrap so you can actually visualize and see what's happening. And we were down right across the curve. The 2 years now, 215. The 10 years, 238. And the 30 is 260. So you can see a pretty flat yield curve, really. 215 at 2 to 260 at 13, 36. The dollar was pretty flat today. Oil traded, as I said, closed down 109.48. Tomorrow, all we've really got is EIA oil, mortgage applications, all this week there's a lot of housing numbers. So we got new home sales out tomorrow as well. That's our main stuff out today. What else did we have to mention? Was there something else? So we don't want to bore you with ad nauseum with a lot of those stocks.
The CREX, then we got ZME.
Oh, yeah, let's share ZME. So that was a good one. So, yeah, CREX was that one we had fun with. I couldn't remember the bloody name.
MULN.
Yeah, MULN. So, yeah, ZME, right? So, yeah, we probably traded between us 30 to 40 stocks today, just to give you a heads up. So, not, because when those things are moving and we're active in them and you're going with the order flow, we're not into these aren't markets, those sort of stocks you don't buy and hold, right? You purely trade them. And obviously we bought, when we know the dribble of favourites, when the market's up like this, the last 3 days, we've been buying those and flogging them off when they slow down, etc., all around gamma levels and stuff like that. So ZME was a good one today. So this was a smaller Chinese stock, a Chinese education stock, small float. So we saw this going up. We saw this spike. We saw the volume come into it. And as the volume built through the day, we saw these kind of mini explosions, which you controlled out or build your position. And you can see just what's going on. Murray math-wise, it was almost perfect measured move. So there's a lot of these. See how violent these patterns are? So you got to trade. These are really a trader's kind of market, right? And if you watch that order flow, you watch the volume, you watch the different genre come in. This is obviously not investor, but you'll see the punter come in, the pure trader, the dribbler. They finally make their decision, and this happens. So that was a good one. Is there anything you want to add to that one, Madavi, mate?
I mean, we're kind of, I'm out. I decided, I think this one could be a runner maybe since as Chinese go and nothing else seems to be working great because how choppy it is. So if you look at some of these other ones, you think you should have a 3-4 day run. So instead of me just taking a small profit, I'm thinking if I can make a little bigger profit.
Right, yeah.
So I'm going to hold it for 2 days, maybe.
Yeah, you give some of these a chance to work, right? You're still managing your downside, obviously, and that's a very important thing to do. So there's a lot, and so there is probably a dozen stocks that look like this we traded today. Fast, get out in this sort of thing, and then you choose some to hold because you're building up your bank all through the day. There was don't want to go through them all. There's a lot of them. IQ's one, a favorite. Quick 60, 70 cents. I mean, these things build up. And remember, from your capital, these cheaper ones are very good use of capital. But remember what they are. They're very fast. You got to know what you do. And don't rely on someone telling you to buy it and then telling you where to get out. These are fast and it's your responsibility. And if you can't take that, do not trade them. We've seen people rant and rave about people from rooms and what a load of bullshit. So trade them accordingly. Don't wait for someone. How do I say that any nicer, really, Madavi, right?
And remember, one thing is, when you pass up guaranteed money that you have in your hand, a lot of times that guaranteed money is probably the best chance you had.
Right. So remember, you're risk. And see, some of these stocks don't have algorithms in them, right? So that's where you can have an advantage if you're doing what you're doing, right? So, but remember, these are very much a theme. These tend to go in themes for 2 or 3 days, and that's it, right? So keep that in aware. Right. So
anything can happen tomorrow, and these are not like, Microsoft or some of these other stocks that will eventually maybe come back. With the environment, and then anything can happen. But hey, I like you got to go with the odds and how you feel, and then what happens. So be prepared to lose all that money.
Right. So that's a totally different thing. That's why we're talking about this stock versus the more pure apples and stuff that we do very technically perfect. This isn't a technical stock, a chart stock, right? Other than the money flow measurement. This is purely watching the money flow. This is a hot market. And it may only last... Dude, some of these last for 20 minutes. So let's be realistic. So we're sharing all the different things that go in a shop. And these stuff... These sort of stocks get passed around in hedge funds. Don't think they don't. Like, everyone thinks these are just some little Reddit or some little trading room or FinTwit. The guys that really do well in it, because we know kind of what's going to attract people, right? What they're attracted to and what ilk and what they're looking for. There's different things here, right? So yeah, we have been around a while, so we do trade kind of where the flow goes. We trade a lot of oil. We traded pretty well none today, right? So sometimes natural gas, remember and we'll see when I show the chart on that, we've been waiting and waiting for that move. And then finally it happens, boom, you jump on it. Now this is just a very quick version of all that, right? And there was a bunch, like, look at IQ. And I'll put that in because you're familiar with it, because this is one of our big shorts. JD and IQ were two big shorts we did really well on. But you don't get married to it. You work it. And you know what? People that tell me they know, this is a moat, this is that. You're trading a bloody market and you're telling me you are better than everyone else with that kind of attitude. No, you're not. You trade where the market will tell you. So this is IQ you're all familiar with. We muck around in this when it's a cheaper one that we know we can have an edge on. So the JDs and the Alibabas, they're higher, they got more option flow and all that. This we have an advantage of. Madavi goes, hey, all that Chinese stuff tells me. And I go, hang on, let's have a look at IQ. That's that one we knew. Lo and behold, it's sitting there. A lot of them don't know it. You know that once these start printing highs, and that's why that one we just showed you, they're going to buy it, because by then the smarter trader or the follower is realizing what stocks are being bought. So IQ's a real stock, but it way overpriced because they lose money. It's the Chinese Netflix. And remember, this is that big short we had. We took them all in just over $2 because that was done. We see the pattern. We see the high. We know it's going to hit new high lows. If it breaks this level, it does it. Boom. So here we get out. Momentum stalls here. We're getting out here. Why? Look where it is. Plus 2H. I mean, this is clinical stuff. No emotion. Bang. We don't care if we get out too early. We care if we get out too late. And I hope I make that point. Look at the difference from that, the DPRO one we showed you. This doesn't have a guy on its foot selling a secondary or anything like this, right? So a different one. But we're out. We were done. I never looked at this again, did I? Did it, bang, done. So that's the way you just move on, you keep it going. And don't let your ego worry you. Oh, I didn't get the top. Oh, I didn't get the bottom. Oh, I got too late. Move on. I do sound like that video, harden the thing up just then. So I hope that showed it. We could go through a dozen of these. These are just a few we wanted to share with you. And hopefully...
Just be worried that if that's going to change your life, you lose all that money, probably not do it.
Yeah, so this is between... the one we just showed you is total punt, right? But good possibility. This at least but this one's between them, right? You know it has a fundamental basis or who it is, etc., name recognition and stuff like that. So that's a little bit different. But you got to control your risk. And the one before was, when we say it's a punter's stock, a punter's like going to the track, right? So... yeah, you don't put your hard-earned on that. So different styles of trading.
Just don't put something you're going to put you in the streets.
Yeah, right. So I think...
all of them is hard-earned, right? Unless you're robbing banks or something.
Right. Exactly. So I think we covered all the stock stuff. Okay, so let's look at this beautiful... We've been talking about this. If you've been following us... for quite a while, right? Natural gas, building this base. And if on the weekly, well, let me just show you the weekly first. So what are we talking about? The Tenkan, we counted the waves out, and it got over the Cajun, right? We talked about that if it gets over. It's been working that bid. On the daily, perfect Cajun and Tenkan work here. Look, in unison, off here. And we knew this... and we kept saying the pressure. And you're watching on the curve, and the weather changed the day before. And look what happened. Boom. And that's all you need. You don't have to be getting the 650 or whatever. It depends what your thing is. But remember, this moves with order flow, and moves with weather and optionality. Seasonal and commodities move with all this more than anything. The financial derivative impact. More than all the other stuff, right? So just understand what goes on in shops and all that. And you got all the other things in oil and natural gas and commodities. You've all seen, there's a good article on Trace Community about how much all the bonds have gone up from the different shops, like Trafigura and Vital's not too much, but the other ones, right? Have a look at it, read it, understand what that's telling you. And you know, with the credit markets, with interest rates going up, it's not just some idiot on CNBC telling you this and that. It affects right across the curve, margins, everything, different high volatility stocks, right? And if position and stocks as in this, not stock market. So this is just a real easy, straightforward trade. And hopefully some of you blokes got on it and kind of listening. We actually went to the trouble this weekend, specifically doing a natural gas, an oil, and a Nasdaq and an S&P chart with all the technical aspects to try and help you all. So, and stuff that's not wissy-dissy. It's time and price is the technical stuff we look at, not all the other stuff, because you will get caught when you're wrong. All looks good when all the stuff turns up nicely in those big sweeps. But what those blokes don't tell you is all the smashes they've taken. I don't know how many people made all their money on the way up, lost it all on the way down, and, had to give up trading or whatever, but they weren't really trading, right? So anyway, that's the whole point of all that little lesson and rant. Oil, why did we not trade oil today? Have a look at the chart. Look at these wicks. Boom, boom, boom. That's a daily. If you don't have an edge there and around expiration, right? This was the stuff we got nicely. Then look at these wicks. These are big wicks. These are a 4-hour chart. Look at these. So good luck to you if you want to trade around in that and take on the risk of thin markets and a lot of slippage. So be it, right? There's a time to trade things. You don't have to trade all the time. What else do we want to look at? Gold. Look at gold still working that. See how it's working around the Tenkan? Building a flag, right? So you don't have, while they're doing, if you're an investor, is one thing. But if you're just a trader, you don't want to go where you're going to get chopped around. I mean, it took me, 3 trades on the spoos to go, mate, I'm not trading this crap anymore today, right? Because you don't want the position, then you're gambling on big swings where it has a big percentage of either way, right? So this is what gold's been doing last few days, right? But what do we know in the bigger picture? It broke this level and it's consolidating here. If this consolidation all fails, then it becomes the bearish count. I mean, it's really, keep it that simple. And we don't need to go through any of the other ones because we already spent too much of your time today. Anything else we want to go through? Crypto. I think Johnny did a really good article about Ethereum versus Bitcoin and the merge. That's all on the website. Check it out. Good job, Johnny. I think he's in the metaverse right now. But does that cover everything? I pretty think it does, right? I think we covered everything, mate. Anything else you want to share, Madav?
Oh, that's it. We're good.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. If it's helpful what we're saying or it's too much or not enough, let us know. We don't know if you don't tell us, right? We're in our own little world. Basically, our time, just us and other hedgies and that we talk with. As a general rule, we have tried bringing that in that kind of disturbed the peace. Kind of made us a little bit angry, really, which isn't a good way to trade. So let us know. Like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Volatile Market. We do. What's our big? Yeah, the only big thing today is this week is the PMIs that we talked about and consumer confidence on Friday. That's pretty well the main stuff. That is on the site somewhere, but keep an eye on it. This main earnings season has passed us by. There's the odd one. So what you're going to watch for, the other thing I meant to mention, that's why we mentioned those stocks. Look out on these spikes for things like secondaries. Don't fall in love with this stuff and don't concern yourself if you missed them. If I had bought it down there, you weren't going to buy these stocks down there. Everyone was as bearish as all heck last Monday, Tuesday, particularly the dribbler stocks, particularly the punter stocks, the investments you're doing nicely stocks. You know, you're accumulating percentages. So don't listen to all that. Don't let those voices in your head disturb you. Just move along, enjoy what's in front of you, and take it. So that's about it from me. Enjoy your sports on TV, relax, watch a good movie, play with your family, kiss your dogs, all that. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye now. Thanks, Madavi, mate.